So, just being blunt with you, as somebody who absolutely loved the introduction of the Dark Triad,
It's different. Did you put anything different in it?
this reveal in Black Clover that there is a fourth sibling to the Dark Triad is not something I'm really a huge fan of. Now, don't get me wrong, as far as narrative, I totally understand why this need to be done, and I'll touch on that later on in the video. However, I think the magic that the Dark Triad brought to this story is now being undermined, and I'm going to explain to you why. So, when they were first introduced to us in the story, we just gotten all of this hype about the Queen of the Heart Kingdom saying that everyone needed to go on a training arc to gain more power in order to beef up, because the Devil and the Spade Kingdom meant serious business. The Clover Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom, they need to become best buddies, that way they could defeat this devil. Even someone at the level of the Wizard Queen status like Lord Pesca had no hope against the devil that they were warned about. Then, when the time skip happened and the battle inside the Heart Kingdom took place, we saw firsthand just how dire the situation was. All of our heroes who we had previously saw battle in the past were being pushed past their limits despite all the training that they underwent, and ultimately they were defeated in battle. We had an amazing battle of Noelle versus Vanica, where we saw the stakes get raised, and as the battle went on, things got more and more dire and more tense. We saw Noelle continuously hope against hope that her next attack would turn the tide in battle for her. We saw Lord Pesca fall in battle during this time, and Vanica showed her true utter dominance in this fight, especially once she used 70% of Magicula's power. On top of that, she was laughing like a mad woman, and more importantly, the damage that she was doing during this fight, and the more damage that she was doing as she was laughing, the sexier this woman got. I swear to God, if Vanica was a real woman, I let this woman step on me and she could break out the whip. I have a cross on my neck, I have holy water in one hand, and I'd be trying to fuck the devil out this bitch. Bruh. But being serious though, before I get thrown into horny jail over Vanica,
go to horny jail.
I love the sense of helplessness that was created with the character of Vanica right here. All of that training meant nothing in the face of Vanica's just overwhelming power. For as much as Noelle trained, and for as mighty as her resolve was, and as strong as she currently was at this point in time, there was just a gap in power that was way too big for her to overcome. And once she did overcome it, after Noelle's second bout of training that came at the hands of the elves, during their rematch during the Spade Kingdom, Noelle was able to surpass her mother in power, her mother being someone powerful enough that we have to start considering Noelle to be a Wizard Queen level fighter now that she's seemingly surpassed her mother. However, that couldn't have been done if Vanica wasn't there as an obstacle for her to overcome, to make Noelle undergo that training, to make Noelle undergo the training under the elves. And by Vanica, I'm also including Magicula's power in this as well, which later on in the video, you're going to call me a little bit hypocritical, but as I've said before, we team Vanica over here. Now, Zenon is another great example. So he pulled up on the Golden Dawn headquarters, he beat the brakes off of everyone there, and he turned Yuno, a super overpowered character that we've seen grow over time and climb up the ranks. Zenon with only 50% of his devil power. Zenon took all of Yuno's character progression and turned this Wizard King hopeful from being a Wizard King hopeful to being the Black Clover version of Yamcha.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Just off these two characters, we saw that the Dark Triad meant serious business and they were nothing to play with. However, when we got there to Dante, everything changed. When he wasn't in full simp mode over Vanessa, he had moments where he was riding solely off the coattails of being a member of the Dark Triad, where the successes of the other two members of the Dark Triad was something that allowed us to be caught up in the moment. When we saw Dante assault the Black Bulls, Asta versus Dante, it lived up to expectations. Asta got absolutely stomped. Yami fought like a madman in his battle against Dante, and even Yami eventually realized that this was a no-win situation, but then it happened. Dante, with 80% of his devil power and his body magic, was brought down by the combo of Asta and Yami, both of which had already been exhausted from fighting. Now, that's not to say that Yami is weak. God knows I'm not saying that. Nor am I saying that Asta's weak as well. But what I am saying is that for a big bad devil, this was so underwhelming. At least with Vanica, we saw that Magicula only had to use 70% of her power, which is a lot more respectful than 80%. However, this is the thing, 80% is a whole lot closer to 100% power than I would have thought that a big bad devil would have to use. Granted, this is someone fighting Yami and Asta, two people at that arcane stage of power. However, still, Dante lost points right there with me. However, that's just with me. Now, with all that being said, the fact that these characters had to train to be able to take on the Dark Triad in the Spade Kingdom during the chapters that followed after Yami and Vangelis were defeated, I was totally okay with it. It felt like it was truly earned in terms of payoff because we knew that there was a lot at stake here. We saw heroes rise to the occasion, and we saw heroes, in the case of Vangelis and Yami, fall in battle, and we knew what it cost for the main cast when they failed before because of those two characters being captured, and we knew that they had to struggle in order to get the wins that they got. I'm totally okay with that. That's good storytelling in my opinion. However, this revealed that there was a fourth sibling for the Dark Triad who was also seemingly somebody that had a potential for devil power, as stated by himself. It makes the Dark Triad feel like total jobbers right now. The older brother being introduced doesn't sit right with me, but I do get the reason for it. Zenon was said to have more talent than Vanica and Dante in this latest chapter. The older brother was directly compared to Zenon himself in this chapter, so that does make a lot of sense. I wouldn't even be shocked if this was the older brother who was responsible for putting the devil in the dungeon in the first place on some Sasuke Aizen stuff, where Aizen purposely manipulated everything from the shadows directly for this purpose. I get why it was done. That's why when you introduce this sibling into the present timeline, they will likely have a devil that is even more overpowered than any of the ones we've seen before. Narratively, it just makes sense. However, I feel like this is taking way too much of the easy route unless we see Asta's Devil Union get another big power up, and we're gonna see Yami emerge from the shadows being strong enough to actually take on this fourth sibling, assume they're able to actually rescue Yami at some point during the story. However, I want to know from you guys, how do you guys feel about this? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much.
Thank you.